I'm having deja vu right now as the Epstein files take center stage in the media again because it's hauntingly familiar to me. I was in my 20s and living in Humboldt County, California when Richard Nixon resigned. I wrote a poem about it. It's around here somewhere. If I can find it, I'll post it for you. But the political atmosphere around the White House right now is carrying a heavy sense of dread for the office of the presidency, just like it was in the early 70s. Let's set the stage. Adelita Grijalva of Arizona is finally sworn in and seated in Congress. Her first official act is to sign on to a discharge petition to force a vote on releasing the Epstein files. Hers is the 218th signature on that petition, which means that every member of the House of Representatives will have to go on record one way or the other. Voting against the release of the Epstein files would be disastrous for the re-election prospects of any MAGA Republican who should do so. All that their opponents in future political campaigns would have to say is that said MAGA Republican voted to protect the most extensive global sex abuse and human trafficking ring in history. At the same time, a vote in favor of releasing the Epstein files would be to distance oneself from a viciously vengeful Donald Trump and his cornucopia of criminal activities, thereby endangering their present status and splitting the MAGA Republican Party even more than it already is. As that was happening, the House Oversight Committee released some of Epstein's emails that tied Donald Trump directly to Epstein's abuse of underage girls and his sex trafficking and blackmail operations. Other emails suggest that Epstein had ties with the Russian government, with whom he may have shared damaging information about Donald Trump. And that would pretty much explain why Trump would defer to Vladimir Putin's claims that he had nothing to do with interfering with the 2016 election against the better judgment of our own intelligence services. It would also lead me to suspect that the infamous PP tapes from Trump's first campaign may be a little more than just a conspiracy theory. Now, Donald Trump is well known for his sexual abuse of women. He even bragged about it during his first campaign back in 2015 in the infamous interview with Billy Bush of Extra, where he uttered the iconic quote about grabbing women by their private parts. And I can't forget 24 or so women with outstanding abuse allegations right now against the president, in addition to already being held legally liable for the abuse of E. Jean Carroll. For the duration of Trump's second presidency, FBI Director Kash Patel, Propaganda Princess Carolyn Leavitt, and Attorney General Pam Bondi are on record repeatedly insisting that Donald Trump has done nothing wrong and that the White House has been completely transparent about everything. Yeah. They even released what they claimed were the Epstein files, the ones in the white binders that they gave to conservative internet creators. They were expected to, make them public. Of course, there was nothing in those binders that hadn't already been made public. It was yet another of Trump's multiple scams. With the release of these emails, any credibility that Patel, Leavitt, or Bondi may have had in the past is certainly gone now. They, like Trump and the rest of his bag of deplorables, are now known to be lying every day to the American people as a matter of standard operational procedure. All of this sordid mess is coming to a head around the release of the Epstein files, and the White House is now very much aware of it. Oh, and before I forget, I designed a t-shirt promoting the release of the Epstein files, and it's available now at my Etsy shop at lilybro.etsy.com, and you'll find a link in the description below. Over the years, MAGA Republican voters have forgiven Donald Trump for quite a rap sheet of nefarious misdeeds, but I don't think they're going to overlook the possibility of their cult leader sexually abusing underage girls or so valiantly protecting those who do. The Epstein files may be the undoing of the massive, carefully constructed illusion built by Donald Trump over the course of his entire lifetime. This whole season is giving me flashbacks to the weeks leading up to Richard Nixon's resignation. There was a heaviness to the atmosphere back then that we could all feel, a sense of dread that something was happening to the presidency and it was bad, very bad. It was at that time that we first heard some quotes that have since become iconic in political circles. Quotes like, "The American people need to know that their president is not a crook. Well, I'm not a crook." And another one that you're probably even more familiar with is, "What did the president know and when did he know it?" Another quote that had a big impact on me was this one from the famous White House tapes that Richard Nixon kept of all the conversations that he had with people in the Oval Office. This one is from June 17, 1972. White House counsel John Dean speaking to the President of the United States. He said, "I think that there's no doubt about the seriousness of the problem we've got. We have a cancer within, close to the presidency, that's growing. It's growing daily. It's compounding. It grows geometrically now because it compounds itself. That'll be clear as I explain, some of the details of why it is. And it basically is because 1, we are being blackmailed. 2, people are going to start perjuring themselves very quickly that had not had to perjure themselves to protect other people and the like. And that is just, there is no assurance, Nixon, that it won't bust, Dean, that it won't bust." I don't harbor any delusion that Donald Trump will suddenly do the honorable thing and realize he's been caught red-handed and resign for the good of the country like Nixon did. I don't see him as the type of person that would admit wrongdoing even if it were to slap him in the face. He's already losing support from voters over this, and we don't even know how bad it really is yet. And we won't until the Epstein files are fully available to us. We know Donald Trump to be the kind of guy that will go down in flames insisting that he had done nothing wrong. Accountability isn't a thing in his world. But this time, it won't be up to him, because I think he's about to find out that there are forces in the world that are even more powerful than he is, like you, like me, like money perhaps, or maybe even the Epstein files. But what I don't want to take my attention away from is that the Epstein files aren't really about Donald Trump, any of his friends, his associates, or even his enemies. It's about justice for hundreds and possibly over 1,000 women who have been irreparably damaged by this decades-long criminal enterprise. The only win that can come from the release of the Epstein files will be justice for these women. The fact that Donald Trump's name was even allowed to be placed on a ballot in 2024 to begin with was a violation of the Constitution. He incited an insurrection against the government of the United States on January 6, 2021. We all watched it happen on TV. The Constitution is crystal clear about that. And the assault on the Constitution has continued through this entire regime unabated. In every imaginable way, this regime is an illegal operation. A guy like me can only hope that the release of the Epstein files will finally bring an end to this now international nightmare. And with that, I'm GL Franklyn for The View from Out Here. Much love.